Give it some slack. Down, slack. I'm going to sing you a song. Have a seat. I used to sing this song with my daddy when I was a little boy at church and Sunday school.
Hey guys, we're here in Maggie Valley, North Carolina at Scenic Tours Adventures. This is Brian, he's the owner, and this is Terry Ramey. We just got back from a great trip, man. I'm going to tell you, I'm just not saying this, I really liked it, Brian.
I'm glad,
It gives
brother.
a lot of the Cherokee history, and we go into Cherokee, into the Smoky Mountains, and so watch this video clip, and you're going to enjoy it, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we're getting ready to go on a tour. This is Brian, he's the owner.
Hey, John.
He's getting everybody loaded up. I'm gonna ride up front with him.
Ready to go on out and have a good time in the mountains?
Absolutely, we got a beautiful day for it, don't we?
We sure do.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Everybody ready for a big tour? Let's do it.
So let me ask y'all. So, hey, John, go ahead and introduce yourself to these folks and tell them a little bit about what you do.
Okay. I actually got some cards I'll give you in a little bit. I think they're in my pocket. I got this thing on, but I'm the Appalachian Channel. I document places. I've been a destination channel. I film places that people want to visit in Appalachia, mostly. A lot of mom and pop, small places. I do stuff like restaurants, stuff like this, whatever comes up that people might be interested in doing. So I show it, people watch it, and they come to do it.
There you go. So, are y'all okay with your video being used today in any of these clips or anything?
Oh, that's fine. I'm good. How much money do I get?
I thought you were going to pay me.
Thank you so much.
Ticket at every restaurant or tour or.
Well, I wish I did. If I had some, I'd give them to you.
Well, let me tell you what we're all doing today. Y'all see that big mountain up there?
Yes, sir.
We ain't going anywhere close to that big mountain.
Okay.
6 mountains behind it and another 1,000 feet higher. We're going to be up above a mile high.
Okay.
Primarily up on the eastern band Cherokee Nation. Also in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. While we're on the reservation, I'll give you all a little Cherokee history, legend, and lore. And also I'll try to have you in a good place to view the elk. We've seen the elk this year every time we went out in the afternoon, so we'll have a good chance of seeing them. We're also going to go over to a haunted church established in 1836 during the time of the Trail of Tears. While we're on the reservation, like I say, I'll give you a little Cherokee history, legend, and lore. Try to find a good place to view the elk. Go check out some beautiful waterfalls. And just have an awesome time here in the mountains.
Okay.
Right up here on your left, y'all.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, he's big. Got big crabs.
So we got this big in here, and there's another one up behind it there. And there's another one up in the field.
Yep.
There's one way up there, too.
Yep.
So it's believed that's the last elk. Yeah. It's believed that the last elk was shot and killed in North Carolina right around 1790. In 2001, the National Park Service, in conjunction with the Eastern Band Cherokee Nation, decided to reintroduce the elk into the national park. 25 came from Canada, 25 from Colorado, and 25 from land between the lakes, Kentucky, where they've previously been reintroduced and they've done exceptionally well. Today we have a herd of right around 300 animals, primarily here in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, the Eastern Band Cherokee Nation, and as I said, right here in Maggie Valley we have a resident herd of about 30 animals. Now that large bull right there, he's probably somewhere around 10 years old, and of course every year he's going to lose his antlers, and new antlers in the spring will come back. He probably weighs between 1,000 to 1,200 pounds. A full-grown cow, or the females, are going to weigh between 500 to 800 pounds, and the calf, when it's born, is going to weigh right around 35 pounds.
Yeah.
Now, when the elk were first reintroduced into the national park, there's a lot of concern of whether or not they were going to make it. You see, they came from areas that did not have near the black bear population that we have here, of right around 1 black bear per 3 square miles. So what was taking place was shortly after the babies were being born, the black bear are eating the babies. It took the mothers about 2 years to figure out how to defend. Now what they'll do if a black bear approaches, that mama will get up on her hind hocks and she will come down and bust that bear's brains out with them front hooves. The other thing that takes place is right before dark, the mothers will get out into the larger fields. They'll make a big circle, the babies will get on the inside, and all the mothers will collectively defend all the babies. Today, there's very few elk that get eaten by the black bear. But as you can see, they have no fear of us and they have no fear of vehicles. And about 10% of the herd every year is hit on the roads here in Maggie Valley, on the National Park, and in Cherokee. But so blessed to have these big elk here with us today.
Yes.
Aren't they beautiful?
Beautiful.
Absolutely stunning.
Why do they like to come down this far? They just feel comfortable.
Well, it's winter time, so there's more food down in the lower valleys right now, and it's warmer down here. Like I said, it's 10 to 12 degrees colder normally on top of the mountain. Now, our native original elk were the eastern elk, and they have all went extinct now because of overhunting by the early settlers. These elk that we have here are the Manitoban elk. They are the smallest of the 3 subspecies of elk. And the largest ones are your Roosevelt elk out in Colorado, out that way. But how blessed we are. Now you'll notice that one bull there, he has a ear tag, and some of the elk you'll see have radio collars around their neck. Those were placed by the biologist in order to track their movements in and out of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Know where they're going, where their feeding grounds are, where their birthing areas were. But like I said, so blessed to have these elk here in the Smokies now. And you'll see we've got 3 bulls here, which is very typical for this time of year because the bulls will group together this time of year. In the springtime, that's when your calving season is going to start, somewhere around June 1st to September 1st. Between September 1st and November 1st, that's when you're going to start seeing that's when the rut's going to come into play. And that's when you'll hear the bulls bugle and they'll be sparring for mating rights with the cows. Well, let's head on over to Cherokee, see what we got to see up that way.
So all the boys are down here which one?
That's right, they ain't no dummies.
Send the fire on.
So how long do they usually live?
They're going to live somewhere around 15 years,
15 years.
if they live a long life.
You grow up here in this area? You from here?
No, I originally grew up in Ohio, but my father's side of the family's here. There wasn't much employment here back in the early 60s, and Daddy moved north, got a job at Ford Motor Company, met my mama, and here I am.
Back home.
56 years later, exactly. 57. Boy, I'm getting old.
The Ghost Town in the Sky was a big part of the tourism here at one time, right?
Absolutely. Ghost Town was a huge part of our tourism here. So that's the reason that we have the 4-lane coming through Maggie Valley, and it ends right here at the parking lot in Ghost Town. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even up in the 90s, Ghost Town was a huge tourist attraction. Of course, kids don't watch cowboys and Indians no more, and with Ghost Town being a Western themed park, well, they just didn't change with the times. Now here on our left is Tony's Tube World. Now at the top of the mountain, y'all, we have the Cataloochee Ski Resort.
Exactly.
Cataloochee Ski Resort is the highest rated ski resort in the southeast United States. It's up right about a mile high on the north face of the slope, and they've invested millions of dollars into snowmaking equipment. Awesome, awesome ski resort.
I think that's one of the first places I ever skied.
It's beautiful up there. Now here on the right, see this little rock house? That's old Popcorn Sutton's place. Y'all hear about Popcorn Sutton?
A little bit.
Yep, old Popcorn's a local moonshiner from these parts. He got caught running shine between here and Cott County, Tennessee. The revenuers found that he had over 20 guns in his possession, which was illegal for him. And he took his own life rather than go back to prison.
Had he served time in prison before?
I believe he had, but I'm not positive of that. But I believe he'd served time in prison before, but But still yet today, if you watch any of those reality shows, the moonshiners, you'll hear them talking about old popcorn.
Is this a something that's still open here?
It is on the weekend, or I'm sorry, in the summertime, but it's a seasonal shop, yeah.
Okay, you go up there and look out, okay.
But all of these shops up through here are closed.
Most stuff starts opening up at what, about April?
About April.
About April.
April, beginning of May, somewhere in there.
Most of the tourism now is the ski slopes, I guess.
Ski resort, yeah. But thank goodness for the ski resort, because that's what keeps our winters packed.
Yes, I noticed at Joey's Pancakes this morning, everybody looked like they were skiers. So.
Yeah. Awesome time at Joey's place. Good food, good folks, good service. Let me take your hand here, sis. Now step on a rock that's protruding from the dirt. That'll help keep you from sliding. Watch that ice right there. Come down this way, y'all. Yeah, that's pretty dangerous down through there.
Dangerous for mermaids.
Awesome. Thank you.
We hiked down this last year sometime. It may be a year and a half or two now.
That's a heck of a hike, isn't it?
Well, I just went to the
Right?
just right in there. So that's about it.
So we got a
guys were hiking on that side coming down.
Okay.
And I said, y'all are crazy.
So we got a double waterfall here. We got Soco Creek and Rough Branch, making Soco Falls. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me take a group picture of y'all. Let me get in this corner here, John.
All right, where you want us to stand? Right here?
All right, so y'all come up this way a little bit.
All right.
Do y'all have Apple cameras or Apple phones? All right. So while I'm taking the pictures and videos today, I'll share them with you at the end of the day.
Okay.
So everybody come over against this side here. Awesome. Now let me get the group of you, 4 of y'all, and then I'll get you and Terry, John.
Okay.
Okay.
So come up this way, a little bit closer to the edge. Right there you go. Awesome. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, down in Maggie Valley, we're right around 3,500 feet elevation, about 3,000 feet elevation at our cabin. Right up here, we're about 4,400 feet elevation. And looking right over there at the top of that mountain, you're right about a mile high, a little over 5,000 feet elevation, 5,250. Now, that being said, at this elevation here and higher, we're in the same climatic zone as Quebec, Canada. And when you get down in the bottoms in Cherokee, you're in a full climatic zone below. So we're actually going to be in 2 separate climatic zones today. We're also in a temperate rainforest here. We get almost as much rain as Seattle, Washington. Now, the Eastern Band Cherokee Nation, which we're on right now, has a little over 14,000 enrolled members, and it's about 56,000 acres. The Great Smoky Mountain National Park, which is our northern boundary, is a little over 500,000 acres. And we tie up to several hundreds of thousands of acres of national forests, state forests, and privately held wilderness land. That being said, we have an interconnected wilderness here of a little over 3 million acres. We are the largest wilderness area in the eastern United States. Now, like I said, we're in here in the Smokies. We're in a temperate rainforest, and we're in 2 separate climatic zones today. So if you add all those variables together, it all adds up to mean one thing, and that is that we have more diversity of plant and animal wildlife than any other place in North America. The Smokies is a very beautiful, special place, as y'all can see. Awesome, isn't it? Now you see these large evergreen bushes here? Those are a native rhododendron. And right around June 1st, they're going to have a big white blossom about the size of your fist. Absolutely beautiful. And then you see some of the smaller bushes with the smaller green leaves. Those are native mountain laurels. I'll point them out to you over there. And they're going to have a long dangly pink blossom, and they're going to be blooming right about 3 weeks earlier before the rhododendrons do.
I was going to say I thought rhododendron and mountain laurel were the same.
Now, 2 different plants. Same family, but 2 different plants. Now, one thing I bet you didn't know about rhododendron is it's also the leaves have arsenic in them. So don't make nobody a birthday cake out of rhododendron. Let's head on up, y'all. The old Cherokee bingo hall.
Yep.
But today it's the Cherokee Cannabis Dispensary, the Great Smoky Cannabis Dispensary.
Okay.
So about 2 years ago, the tribe made it legal to both purchase and utilize medicinal marijuana here on the reservation. September 7th of this year, the tribe made it legal to both purchase and utilize recreational marijuana here on this res. So y'all know what that means. It won't be long till every pothead in the southeast United States is right here on this reservation getting high in the Smokies. And you even notice they got 3 drive-thrus just like Burger King back there.
Well, that was it?
Yep.
They were lined up going through the drive-thru?
They lined up going through the drive-thru.
Because you're increasing tourism.
That's it.
Now, do they have to have a cord or see a doctor or anything?
Nope, it's a recreational use. So
recreational, not medical.
Yeah, both medical or recreational.
Okay.
So you better know your boundaries of the res.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'll tell you how to do that. You watch when we come up through here, look at a street sign.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that the street signs are all in the Cherokee language and in the English language. So if you're on the reservation, all you have to do is look at a street sign because you'll see the Cherokee language. If you don't see the Cherokee language on the sign, you're off the res. Now up here in front of us is the Harris Cherokee Casino.
Yeah.
That being said, each enrolled member actually owns stock in the casino, and that stock pays out dividends of right around $15,000 a year to each man, woman, and child. Even the kids get that money. However, the kids' money is held in trust by the tribe until they're at least 18 years old. That's if they finish high school and they finish financial planning classes. Otherwise, they have to wait until they're 25 before they start getting those monies. Well, you can just imagine, you give that type of money to most young folks, first thing they're going to do is buy a fancy car, motorcycle, UTV, party like Cardi, and if they live through it, they'll be broke. So it's important to the elders that the young folks have some financial management skills and some responsible maturity to them.
So when they turn 18, will they get about $250,000?
Right around $200,000 to $250,000.
Wow.
Not a bad way to start.
The tribe is the largest employer in western North Carolina, which is primarily from the casino. But you also have the Indian Hospital, the tribal government, the school system, and several other tribally owned businesses. Now, the dispensary that we just passed, like I said, that was opened to recreational marijuana September 7th. The tribe expects that new industry to bring in right around $380 million a year to the tribal coffers. Now, prior to the time that the casino was in place, the largest moneymaker for the tribe was to sell a trout license here on the reservation. We'll just say that the Cherokee have moved on up.
Right.
But trout fishing and outdoor adventure is still a huge draw here on the reservation, being the gateway to the Great Smoky Mountain National Park.
What year did this open?
It's been about 23 years now, I think.
23.
Approximately.
I've never been in it.
It is a beautiful facility, I'll tell you.
Now, do you have any idea how they originally raised the money to build this originally? They wouldn't have had that kind of money sitting around, would they?
You know, I'm not sure how they did it, but I'm sure they took out tribal loans and so forth to do it. I remember when they started, it was in a tent.
A tent?
A tent,
How
a
about
circus
that?
tent.
So there's a high graduation rate, I would expect.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you say 100% or not?
No, it's not 100%. It's similar to any, normal school around the country.
Wow.
Now, that's not the only blessing that comes to the Cherokee children from the casino monies. But if you want to go on with your education, the tribe will pay for your full education, all the way up to a doctorate degree in the discipline of your choice, including your rent, your utilities, all your expenses as you go to school, and actually provides you a per diem to live off from. That way you can focus on your studies and don't have to focus on going to work, which is another huge blessing to the Cherokee kids.
Yes.
Now this area through here, this is a tourist area through here.
Yeah.
In this area through here, you can buy some of the finest native arts and crafts ever produced in China. And some of these shops right through here, Jens.
Is that where the big Indian is?
Nope, that's on further down.
Not further down. I can't see how fruitful.
So originally they used to make some of their own stuff, I think, maybe for income, right?
Absolutely. So arts and crafts were huge here to help sustain the Cherokee families. Making pottery and Cherokee river cane baskets and white oak baskets.
So when did the bingo parlor close down?
I don't remember exactly, but it's been 3 or 4 years now.
This is things like this what I remember as a kid. These little stores like this.
Yeah.
They used to have somebody doing dancing, travel. They still do that?
They do. So some of the guys still get out and chief. So
They call it
basically
chief?
they call it chiefing. So they come out and they'll dress up with their headset on and all their regalia and do Indian dances and folks will pay them a tip to take a picture with them. So that's been a big part of the tradition here on the reservation for years and years.
Did they do that to keep up the tradition or actually for income?
Actually for income.
Income.
They don't do it anymore, do they?
Yeah, there's some of the folks that still do it. Some of the guys still chief now. You'll notice a couple of these shops, you'll see them dancing with regalia and talking with the folks and just bringing forth the native culture.
And they have a big amphitheater too, don't they do something there?
They sure do. Onto these hills.
Yes.
Onto these hills tells it's an outdoor theater. Tells the story of the Cherokee from the beginning of time all the way up until today.
Yes, I've been to that. It's very interesting.
It is. Now over here on our left is the Oconaluftee Island Park. One of the favorite places in the summer for the Cherokee kids to swim, and one of the favorite places for the guests to swim as well. You see the large green plants on the island there, that's all bamboo, which is an invasive species from China. That is not our river cane that's native to this area. I'll point that out to y'all a little bit later. You'll see the difference. Here on our left is the Oconaluftee River. It's the largest river on the reservation. So back in this area here is all the government buildings. So you have the Housing Authority. Up here on the right, you have the Enrollment Office. Local Fire Department for the Yellow Hill community here. Also, you'll notice that you have the school up here as well. So up here at this school, that's where your preschool is going to be, and kindergarten, here on the left.
Well, they got a nice youth center.
Yes, they do.
Now, I understand they built a new hospital a few years ago, too?
They did. That's a little bit on the way on out of town up that way.
Yeah. When I saw the video on that, it hadn't opened at the time. It stayed setting for a while to get employees.
It took a while. It took, I guess, about 4 years now. But it's an awesome state-of-the-art facility now.
And that's all money come in from where they're doing the casinos, I'm
That's
sure.
exactly right. We're here on Big Cove Road, y'all. Big Cove Road will take us up into some of the most remote areas on the reservation and where some of the most traditional Cherokee people live at. Gonna head on up to Mingo Falls. Absolutely beautiful, 110-foot tall waterfall. Stocked with trout, brown trout, rainbow trout, and our native brook trout. Some of the very best trout fishing in the southeast United States is here on this reservation. There's no industrial runoff, no sewage runoff, just pure mountain water. Matter of fact, about 10 miles up the stream here is where the tribe operates the tribal trout hatchery.
They do. They have their own tribal hatchery.
Getting ready to come underneath the Blue Ridge Parkway. 500 feet on the other side of the river there is where the parkway begins. Goes all the way up to the Shenandoah Valley, some 469 miles on the ridge lines. Speed limit, 45. Now up here on our right is the Cherokee Central School. Cherokee Central School is one of the blessings that came to the Cherokee people from the casino monies. It's probably one of the most modern schools in the state of North Carolina. Heck, it's probably one of the most modern schools in the United States.
One of the most modern schools in the state of North Carolina or the U.S.
Now grades 1 through 12 go to school here, about 450 students, and the kids are going to learn all your normal American classes, but they're also going to take Cherokee reading, Cherokee writing, language, and cultural classes as well. You'll notice on the wrought iron fence out here in front of the school, the Cherokee Indian basketry designs, as well as what's on the building as well over on the other side. Now the Cherokee children tend to be quite athletic. Matter of fact, last year the Lady Braves got the state basketball champs. Go Lady Braves! And in 96 and 97, they also got the state basketball champs. And the boys football team got the state football champ in 2017. Now here on the right is the Cherokee stickball field. Stickball is a Native American sport played by all the tribes. Yeah, and golf. Stickball is a Native American game played by all the eastern tribes in the United States and Canada. It's the precursor to the modern game known as lacrosse. It's very similar to lacrosse. The big difference is that in stickball, the men are going to have shorts on, most of them, no shoes, no shirt. And they've got their handmade stickball racket and ready to go to competition. It's a very aggressive sport. The parkway's closed right now. However, when we get past this hillside, if you look up the side of the mountain, you'll be able to see the flat area up on the mountain where the Blue Ridge Parkway runs. Right up behind this gas station up here on the side. Way up top. Trout. Hey Cody.
Yes.
Read that sign right there on the right. That white sign.
No access to Mingo Falls. GPS is wrong.
They lie, y'all. That's for the tourists. That ain't for us. You can bring your camper, your tent, or camp in one of the cabins there on the overlooking the river. They've also got a great indoor pool and an outdoor pool as well. 10-foot tall waterfall. However, there are 160 steps up, 160 steps down, and about 500 feet of rocky uneven path. Are y'all up for it today? Well, it looks like they might have it. They've got it blocked off. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to do Mingo Falls today, Jens. They must have had some damage to the. Well, that's all right. We'll go on down and check out something else beautiful. The question was, can anybody live on the reservation? And the fact of the matter is that yes, anybody can live on this reservation. You can lease property, or you can lease a home, but you must be Cherokee in order to buy property on the reservation. It's a way of keeping the reservation Indian owned. Otherwise, we'd end up like any other place in western North Carolina.
So if somebody's got a house for sale, they can sell it to another person.
That's right. So it's all deeded property. What's deeded is deeded, and what's wilderness area is deeded wilderness area. That being said, the town of Maggie Valley was voted the #1 best tasting city water in the state of North Carolina. And the town of Cherokee was voted the #2 best tasting city water. The reason for that, there's so little that needs to be done to the water because it's so pure and clean to start with, that there's very little that needs to be done. So it's awesome tasting water. This is the main river that goes out of the national park and then comes into Cherokee. And at about 10 miles up from here is where the trout hatchery is located, right where the water comes out of the national park. Now y'all notice how pure and white those stones are. That's from when we had the hurricane damage. When the hurricane came through, we had a good 6 feet of water right through here. And so basically with the stones coming down the river and polishing the rocks, so everything's white and clean. Normally they'd be a color brown or gray with algae and lichens and such on them.
How often do they release trout?
The streams are stocked normally weekly during the season. Like I said, some of the very best trout fishing in the southeast United States is right here on the eastern band Cherokee Nation. Pure mountain water.
So the trout was something they started doing to bring tourism in originally, to release the trout?
Exactly right. And that's one of the benefits of being right here at the gateway to the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. So the Great Smoky Mountain National Park is actually the most visited national park in all of North America. Right around 15 million visitors a year. Of course, the vast majority of those folks stay over on the Gatlinburg side. Well, we're sure proud of all the folks that come and visit us over here in Maggie Valley and Cherokee and Haywood County. Beautiful back here, isn't it, y'all?
Now, did they vote for their elders or their tribe leaders? How's that work?
So your chief is voted for, your vice chief is voted for, and your tribal representatives are all voted for. Just like your United States government.
They have limits on their terms?
Still have limits on the terms, yes sir. President's 4 years, just like vice president. Coming into Yogi Bear Campground up here, Jens.
Or other directional?
Well, originally you only had the Cherokee Nation prior to the time of Trail of Tears from 1836 to 1838. At that time, the Cherokee Nation was quite huge. Started right about Asheville, North Carolina, went up a little bit into Virginia, a little bit up in Kentucky, continuing west all the way over to about Nashville, Tennessee, south down through Huntsville, Alabama, continuing through northeast Alabama into Georgia about 40 miles north of Atlanta, Georgia, then all the way over to Greenville, South Carolina, and then back up north. It was a huge nation, taking in parts of 7 different states and millions of acres. And today, all that's left here in the east is this mere 56,000 acres that the Cherokee people actually had to purchase back. So you actually have the Eastern Band Cherokee Nation, which is a little over 14,000 enrolled members. And then you have the Cherokee Nation Oklahoma, which is around 260,000 enrolled members. And you also have the United Gadua Cherokee Nation Oklahoma, that's around 60,000 enrolled members. So the Eastern Band Cherokee is the smallest of the 3 federally recognized Cherokee tribes.
Oklahoma has 2 acres.
So the Oklahoma Cherokee are the Cherokee that were taken west that their ancestors were taken west on the Trail of Tears. The Eastern Cherokee, or the Cherokee that were able to hide out here in the mountains to avoid removal at the hands of the U.S. military during the time of the Trail of Tears.
How many did they take out of here on that trip? How many?
Trail of Tears, it's estimated over 18,000 Cherokee people lost their lives going from here to Oklahoma back in the time of the Trail of Tears. One in 4 people died on the Trail of Tears. Primarily, you're elderly and you're young.
Right.
So we wouldn't come to downtown Cherokee, but we would come across the mountain on these mountain trails. But as you saw, it's pretty squishy and wet. So the mountain trails aren't safe right now because snow and ice up there. There's about 4 feet of water on top of this bridge during the hurricane.
Oh, wow.
Well, it looks like it's recovered great. I mean, you don't see trash.
No, it's been cleaned up pretty good. I think they got water in a couple of these small houses here in the school. On up further, they were okay though.
So would have the Cherokee Nation got assistance from the government on recovery from that? To recover from the FEMA assistance?
I'm sure that, well, I would hope that there had been some help from the United States government, but I'm not honestly sure.
Not for sure. Maybe somebody can leave that in the comments if they know.
There you go.
I'm very interested. This is a very interesting tour. I like it. I really encourage people to come when you can come with them. Do you have anybody else that does the tours for you sometimes?
I've got another guy that does the tours that lives here on the reservation as well. Now on the other side of the river over there, that's the Yogi Bear campground. Awesome campground, especially if you got kids. All kinds of programs for the kids. Now up here on the right, you're going to notice this barn up here. That's Mr. Bradley's place. You'll notice he's got animal hides on the barn on the outside.
I see him.
Mr. Bradley's a hunter and a trapper, and he's stretching those hides out in the old way, in the old traditional way, on a plank of board. He would have scraped the hide free of meat, free of fat, salted them down good, and then stretched them on those boards, and then put them out in the sun to cure. Once they've cured well, then he'll go ahead and tan them, turn them into leather.
Are there any general hunting on the reservation?
There's some awesome hunting here on the reservation. However, you must be Cherokee in order to hunt on the reservation. However, trout fishing is highly encouraged by the tribe, and at this time there's around 35 miles of stocked trout streams here on the reservation, all stocked with brown trout, rainbow trout, and our native brook trout.
Anyone can fish, but only Cherokee can hunt?
That's correct.
Are there any reputable guides for a trout fishing trip?
There are. And I'll be happy to give you a few of those if y'all want to come and take a trip into Cherokee. I believe a trout license is about $15 a day, or around $250 for a year for an annual trout license. Now that being said, a Cherokee trout license is required. The state of North Carolina has no jurisdiction on this reservation. So a state of North Carolina or a state of Tennessee license will not do you any good here. The United States government has a very special relationship with the Eastern Band Cherokee as a sovereign Native American nation.
Is there a limit on the catch?
Yeah, there's a limit on the catch. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it's 10 trout a day.
10 a day, you think? 10 a day?
Yeah. Now here on the right is our native river cane. You notice it's similar to the bamboo that we saw earlier, but this is a native plant that's native to this area. The Cherokee have used river cane for centuries, both as a building material for the hogans in the early times, in the prehistoric times, and also to weave river cane mats, and also the river cane baskets. Of course, they'll dye the baskets with black dye made from the walnut tree, and red, yellow, and orange dyes made from bloodroot. Here on our left is the KOA campground again. You'll notice these ponds out front. All of these ponds are stocked with trout. Once again, awesome campground.
Now, something like this owned by Native American here, or?
I believe the KOA campground, so the land would be owned by a native person.
Yes.
And whoever the owner of the campground would be, they would be leasing that from a native person.
So they get a long-term lease.
A long-term lease, yes, sir. So there on the right is the Sequoia Church. Now, the vast majority of Cherokee people are Christians, primarily Baptists, Methodists, and Pentecostal holiness. However, we still have a smaller percentage of the population that still practices spirituality in the old way, going to the Cherokee stomp ground and to the longhouse, speaking in the Cherokee tongue and doing the old Cherokee ceremonials. It's quite amazing to be amongst the elders when they're at the stomp ground or the longhouse, doing things much in the same way it was done thousands of years ago. Now up here on the right, it's going to be the entrance to the Blue Ridge Parkway. This is where the parkway begins. It's going to go 469 miles on the ridge lines all the way to the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, America's longest national park. Speed limit, 45.
This is because they're turning trucks around that's trying to bypass 40, right?
That's exactly right. When Interstate 40 was washed out, you had all kinds of truck traffic wanting to come across the national park. Of course, this ain't set for truck traffic. So, yeah, it's exactly. So what they'd do, they'd bring them up to into the national park, turn them around right there, give them a $1,000 ticket. Welcome to Cherokee. Now go back to where you came from. Now up here on our right, you see the large barn in the back. That's Dr. Mingus's barn, and that was built there on site back in the late 1800s. The large building that you see is actually the visitor center for the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And the small buildings that you see were taken down within the national park and relocated here on site. So we're going to stop here at the visitor center and stop and go to the restroom and check things out. And into the maintenance area for the North Carolina side of the national park. So here on your right is the maintenance area, and then you see these cabins. These cabins are for the park rangers for housing. It's part of their pay. But this is also a great area to view the elk back here. So hopefully back here in this area we'll see some elk.
So are they, do they allow any hunting of the elk yet here?
No, there's no hunting of the elk. So the elk are a protected species and a managed species. And there will never be hunting of the elk in the national park. At some point in time, as the herd expands, there will be a hunting season on the reservation and probably in the surrounding counties as well. But at this time, there's no hunting in the national park.
I think they have it in Campbell County, maybe a limited draw, maybe some kind of lottery type thing.
I know they reintroduced them to Royal Blue over there.
Right, yes.
They do it like they do in Wyoming in places.
I think it's a lottery draw. I think they do 5 a year, maybe 5, maybe of the bulls probably.
I just went to the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation banquet.
Yeah.
And won a 1911 Kimber 40th anniversary Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
You won it?
Yeah.
Well, anybody deserved it. It was you, Terry.
I'm sorry.
Y'all, we got wildlife up here, the odds are.
Okay.
And they get hot very easily. So they'll stay in the shade until the later part of the afternoon and the early part of the morning. Looks like we got more up here.
Horses over.
Oh, we got some up here on the corner, y'all.
Yep. Got some caves over there.
Oh, look at Bob over here. Oh, they're sleeping.
Aren't they beautiful, y'all?
Beautiful.
Like I said earlier, you'll notice that some of the elk have ear tags and some of them have collars around their neck. Those were placed by the biologists in order to track their movements in and out of the national park.
How many you think's out there, Terry? Just count them yet?
They've got 22, I believe.
Beautiful, aren't they, y'all?
That's neat.
Now, does the bulls don't stay with them? They
Well, this time of year, so the bulls will kind of go off on their own. It's a bachelor groups. So the how the seasons go. So the calving season starts right around June 1st, goes up to about September 1st, and then your rut season is going to start around September 1, go up to November 1, and that's when you're going to hear the bulls bugling and fighting for mating rights with the cows. So blessed to have these wild elk back here in the Smokies. Just simply beautiful. Well, let's head on up to the O'Connell Lefty Baptist Church, established in 1836, Shins.
we're leaving, Terry. That's a nice stop.
Yeah.
Anybody want to ride one of them before we go?
I got my halter. We'll watch you doing. You go ahead.
Terry's got some horses now. He can ride it. Oh, check out this big bull up here, Jens.
Oh boy.
He's a big one.
He didn't know the girls are down yonder.
Look at that beauty right there.
Wow.
Oh, look at
They
it.
don't even move when they see these cars.
No. Like I said, they have no fear of people and no fear of cars.
That picture for me.
That being said, about 10% of the population every year gets hit on the roads here on the here on the national park and over in the reservation. Now you see this big bull right here?
Yeah.
Those antlers can weigh up to 45 pounds. And of course he'll lose his antlers every winter. So right around February, March, something like that, all the bulls will lose their antlers. And somewhere around April, you'll see the little nubs coming back up and new antlers will start.
Oh my gosh.
He's definitely the dominant bull in this herd right here. He's the big daddy.
I tell you, bush hogging, you run over that, you're going to tear up your blade.
You know that's right.
Complete ignorance.
Now, did they plant anything special for these to eat, or is it just
No,
native
just
grass?
all what nature provides them. So this is actually the elk habitat back in the time of Lewis and Clark. They rode of all the huge herds of elk going all the way from Alabama all the way up into Maine. So this is the native habitat of the elk.
Really?
Of course, now the eastern elk, like I said, the last elk in North Carolina was thought to be killed right around 1790. But in those old journals and such, you'll see where they write about the huge herds of elk in the eastern United States.
Wow.
Beautiful, aren't they, y'all?
Oh, they are.
Simply amazing.
Look at that. It's so pretty.
Is their only predator the bear?
That's the only one
And
to
what
speak of
as it gets
And people.
in people. Yeah.
hotter,
Yeah, car.
they get hotter. As it gets hotter, will they go up? Try to find
As the temperature changes, will they go more up?
Some of the elk, as the summer comes along, will start going up the mountains.
Okay.
But for the most part, they came down the mountains, down into valleys now.
And they kind of stay.
Yes, ma'am.
Food's a lot easier for
Yeah,
them
more
down low.
food here and warmer. Now you see that young one there? That's going to be last year's calf.
Yeah. So he's in charge of this herd. So
That's
when he says
right.
It's time to go. It's time to go.
This is all his ladies right here.
Oh, I got you.
He's the big bad daddy right there.
He's probably had a few battles.
Ah, bless
during
you. I
that
guess he
time.
has. You can see he's got a couple of them tines broke off.
Yeah.
Do those collars get too tight on them at any time?
No, they're made for they'll actually come off after time.
Oh, really?
What's that?
They come off at
What does?
the collar. Obviously, do they get smaller?
Beautiful, aren't they, y'all?
Yep, they are.
Well, let's head on up to the Oconaluftee Baptist Church.
All right.
All that damage is from wild hogs.
Oh,
Wild hogs is the only animal that's legal to hunt in the national park.
oh, really?
So the park rangers will take you into some remote areas, set you up for your hunting, because they are an invasive species and do millions of damage every year into the national park. One sow can have up to 2 litters a year, ranging anywhere from 10 to 20 piglets. So in a very short period of time, they can do a lot of damage.
Is that the same wild hogs that came in from Florida going across Georgia and Alabama?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
That
ma'am.
DeSoto brought in and let turn loose?
Yep. And the early settlers.
Those things get up to 400 pounds.
Folks will ask me, they'll say, Brian, when's the best time to come to the Smokies? And I always tell them, anytime you can get here, because it's beautiful year round. In the spring, summer, and fall, we got the beautiful wildflowers, and of course in the fall, we got the changing of the leaves. But my favorite time of the year is actually the winter time, because that's when you can see through the trees to see the forest and the mountains in the distance. Well, welcome to the Oconaluftee Baptist Church, y'all. Let's check it out. Now, if you got any pop bottles or any soda bottles, even if you got something with water or pop in it, dump it out, because we got some awesome mountain spring water up here. Where we're here at right now is it's the Oconaluftee Baptist Church, established in 1836. Now the Trail of Tears went from 1832 to 1838. As I shared with you earlier, the Cherokee, the missionaries have been amongst the Cherokees since the mid-1700s. So at that time, you would have had both Cherokee people going to this church and the early settlers. Now, are y'all familiar with the Trail of Tears? Mm-hmm. All right, let me give you a little background information. In 1805, President Andrew Jackson signed into law the Indian Removal Act, which required all Native people in the southeast United States to be removed out west to Indian Territory, today's Oklahoma. It took 4 months to walk, ride a horse, and ride in a wagon from here to Indian country. You could just imagine what a terrible journey that would have been with your elderly parents or a newborn child. But it even got worse than that. Now, my ancestors, John and Polly Bear, last name pronounced Yona in the Cherokee language, they were alive from the late 1790s all the way up into the late 1880s. So they would have been here during the time of the Trail of Tears. They would have been here during the time of the Civil War. Now, John and Polly, my 4th great-grandparents, they were lucky that they were able to avoid removal. But they both had brothers and sisters that were not as lucky. One in particular was my grandfather John's brother Jim. Now, Jim was out in the wilderness hunting for deer with his 2 boys and came back home the following day to find that his wife and his 2 girls were missing and there were squatters living in his cabin. It didn't take them long to figure out what had happened. The soldiers had came and there was a long wagon train down below his cabin. And there would have been a struggle. And they kicked in the door, rounded up his wife and his girls, and came out and put them in the wagon. And around the wagons, you would have had the soldiers, and behind the soldiers was a long line of settlers. And as soon as the Cherokee were being removed from their home, the squatters were moving in, quite often before they even got out of sight, going down the way. So let's come up and check out this old church up here, y'all. So back in those early days, we had terrible pandemics in this country. Measles, smallpox, and tuberculosis. All European diseases that the native people had no immunity to whatsoever. And what the soldiers did when they had the Cherokee in the stockade, they went to those hospitals where those terrible diseases were treated, gathered the blankets and brought them to the stockade and dispersed them amongst the Cherokee, fully knowing that those terrible diseases would be passed on. 1 in 4 people died on the Trail of Tears, primarily your elderly and your young. Over 18,000 Cherokee people lost their lives going from here to Oklahoma. And it wasn't just the Cherokee, but your Seminole and your Creek and your Choctaw and your Chickasaw as well. All what the American government deemed as the 5 civilized tribes here in the southeast United States. What a beautiful church. Spring, y'all. Some of the best mountain water you'd ever want to drink. All filtered by the rock, sand, and the gravel. Go ahead and get you some. Folks come here and get the water all the time in their milk jugs.
So the main reason for relocation was just to take the land for settlers.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, our government's still doing stupid things.
Boy, that's a mouthful. That is a mouthful.
Don't put that on camera.
Right.
Somebody's paying attention.
Right. Some folks say this old church is haunted. At times you can see what appears to be the outline of people sitting on the pews. And at times you can see what appears to be a glowing orb going through the church. You never see it with your naked eye, only in your photos or your videos. But no worries, it is a church. So you know the biggest, baddest spirit? That's the Holy Spirit. My Jesus, he's in here. Yeah. Beautiful church, isn't it, y'all? Absolutely stunning. Now, if you'll check out the ceiling, you'll notice that's all tongue and groove pine. That would have been replaced back in the early 1900s. And check out the wall. That's all cherry wood. And what about the glass? It's that old hand-blown wavy glass. Pretty cool, isn't it? Now this is a church, and in a church you want it to have good acoustics. And if we had rafters going across the ceiling, it would mess up our acoustics. So what they did, they utilized these bars and put them together with the lever. If these bars were not in place, the weight of the roofing system up above would push the walls out and the whole church would collapse down on itself. Pretty ingenious. Well, since we're in this church, y'all, I want to sing you a song. Have a seat. Now, you're welcome to take a picture or video if you'd like. However, if it breaks your camera, that's on you. I said I was going to sing. I didn't say it was going to be any good. Now, the song I'm going to sing for y'all is Amazing Grace in the Cherokee language. And I used to sing this song with my daddy when I was a little boy at church and Sunday school. And sometimes at bluegrass festivals. Daddy had a bluegrass band from the time I was young up until the time he passed away about 10 years ago. So whenever I sing this song, I always send it out to Daddy, Ski Papa. And it goes like this. Ooh, ne, ha, na, ooh, we, ji, iga, gu, ya, na go jo sa 이가 그야호나. Thank you, Jesus, for this beautiful day and for these beautiful folks here with me. Thank you, thank you. Now back in the old days, you didn't have full-time preachers. You had what was known as circuit preachers. So the circuit preacher would ride into town on his horse, maybe preach at this church on a Friday, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday. He'd stay with the church members in their homes, eating from their tables and sleeping in their beds. And after he got to, he'd go on to the next church and to the next and then to the next. And about a month later, he did the whole circuit and he's right back here again. Now, when the circuit preacher came back to town, the church members were always very excited. You see, when the circuit preacher wasn't here, it was up to the deacons of the church to preach and to hold Sunday school. But that wasn't the reason that the church members were so excited. You see, the circuit preacher had rode out to all the outlying settlements and came in contact with people throughout the southeast. So the very first question that always came about is, have you seen the soldiers? Where is the last place you saw the soldiers? Because even on a Sunday morning, the soldiers could come to this church with that long wagon train down below, separate the Cherokee from the settlers, throw the Cherokee in the wagons, take you to the stockade. First thing you know, here comes those terrible blankets. And right about mid-October is when the forced removal, the Trail of Tears, began. Now, as I said, the soldiers had went to the hospitals where those terrible diseases, pandemics of measles, smallpox, and tuberculosis were treated and dispersed the blankets amongst the Cherokee. So it was right about the time that the first child came down with whooping cough or tuberculosis and brought up some blood. And the terrible rashes from the measles and the smallpox came about. Terrible times in our U.S. history. That being said, the Cherokee people lived in this area, in the Quallatown area, all the way from the time of the Trail of Tears from 1832 to 1838, all the way up until the late 1880s, were under constant threat of being removed by the United States government. At any time, the government could come. So the Cherokee people lived here in the Quallatown area, petitioned the United States government for permission to stay here in the east. The United States government said you can stay if you're willing to give up your Cherokee citizenship and just become American citizens, which they did. But also it was up to the state of North Carolina to approve, and they did as well. You see, this was considered nothing more than worthless mountain land. Wasn't no good for farming, barely any good to pasture a cow. Sure, let the Indians have it. Has no value to us. However, at that time, there was problems. At that time, it was illegal for an Indian to be east of the Mississippi without a white guardian. And also at that time, it was illegal for an Indian to own property east of the Mississippi. So if you couldn't own property and you didn't have a guardian, how could you stay? Well, there's the old Cherokee workaround. At that time, our chief was Chief Onaguska. And Chief Onaguska had married a white woman, and she had a son by the name of Mr. Will Thomas. Mr. Thomas was highly revered by the Cherokee people, and later in life went on to become the only white chief of the Cherokee. You see, as a white man, Mr. Thomas could purchase property. So the Cherokee that lived here in this area gathered their money and gave it to Mr. Thomas. And Mr. Thomas purchased all 56,000 acres of what we now call the Eastern Band Cherokee Nation. He then incorporated it, put it into a nonprofit corporation to be sure it would be here for the future generations until the end of days. Also, as a white man, Mr. Thomas could be a guardian. And he was for all 1,200 and some souls that lived here in this Quallatown area. So you see, if it wasn't for Chief Onaguska, and if it wasn't for Mr. Thomas, there'd be no reservation here today. The 14,000 plus enrolled members that now not only live here, but call this their home and are thriving here. Those people would not be because their ancestors would have been forced west. Hard to believe man's inhumanity to man. And I'll even take it a step further. If it wasn't for Chief Onaguska and it wasn't for Mr. Thomas, the Eastern Band Cherokee Nation, which is now the largest employer in western North Carolina, primarily employing non-native people, that asset to western North Carolina also would not be here if it wasn't for those two men. And I'll go one step further. If it wasn't for those two men, neither would I be here, because my ancestors too would have been forced west, and the odds are they would have lost their lives before they made it out to Oklahoma. Remember I said 1 in 4 people died on the Trail of Tears. Terrible, terrible times in our U.S. history. That being said, the moral to the story is this. Don't be afraid to stand up for your fellow man in the face of injustice, especially in today's day and times when we have so many of our politicians that are so rude and hateful and nasty. Don't be afraid to stand up for your fellow man, because you never know when you will be the fellow man that you need your fellow human beings to stand up for. Now, when we came in today, did y'all notice that rope hanging down right there in the foyer there? That's the old church bell. That ain't to hang me with when we get done singing Amazing Grace. Let's check it out.
What was this rope right here for? Just to keep the...
Yeah. So they brought these rods together right here, and so that keeps the walls from pushing out on the church. Now you'll notice one thing here. This is very odd for this particular structure. So my other guide that guides with me, Cole, he lives about 2 miles from here over on the reservation. And what Cole was sharing with me is that this used to be his grandmother's family church before the National Park Service bought it. And at that time, the preacher was Preacher Queen, and Preacher Queen made a deal with the National Park Service. And what that deal was, that as long as the Toe String Baptist Church, which used to be the Oconaluftee Baptist Church, which is now 2 miles over on the res, that as long as that church paid the light bill, that the church could use this, church could use this building free of charge at any time. And still yet today, the Toe String Baptist Church pays the light bill, $35 a month. Now also you'll notice, kind of odd where that pulpit's located, isn't it? You'd think it'd be down at the very end of the barn, at the end of the building. Any idea why it's located where it's at? And that direction right there is east. Any idea? Well, old time religion is that Christ will return from the east. So when you get down to pray, your old-timey churches, all your pulpits are for when you get down to pray, you're facing east. And that's the reason that pulpit is where it's at. But also notice that we have 2 doors on the front of this church. Back in the old days, the men folk would come in on one side and the women folk and the children would come in on the other. Let's check out this old church bell, y'all. Now, have you ever rung a church bell before? All right, so if you look up in that hole right there, you'll actually see the church bell. But when you ring a church bell, you got to get a rhythm going. You just don't pull and hold. So we're going to pull it down hard, give it some slack. Down, slack. I can hear it now. All right, you children, get on in here, boys. Get down that creek now. Little Terry Ramey, son, come on. All right, Cody, give her a hang, everybody. Down hard and give it slack. Down hard and give it slack. That's what I'm talking about. We got a double ringer there, y'all. We got a double ringer. Let everybody know we in the Smokies today.
Oh, look at that. Oh, there it is. Wow, it's big.
Here, you try it.
Down hard and give it slack. Down hard and slack. Down hard and slack. There you go. She's struck with a little bit of that vertical disease.
When you were talking about facing the east, I was thinking about when the sun comes up in what?
In the east.
In the east,
Yep.
and you're facing the sun.
Yep.
So. You got it? I got it. Oh, let me see if I can do it. All right, pull
Down hard and
there
slack.
you go. Man, you ain't got the rhythm.
There she goes.
There it is. Oh.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's cool.
Beautiful old church, isn't it, Jens?
It is.
Out of the hill and piled up right there. Now, I was out here the other day with a building inspector from Greenville, South Carolina, Mr. Bill. And he was rubbing his chin looking at the foundation of this house, and he walked around this way and walked around here. He pointed over that corner and about had a heart attack right here. He said, Brian, he said, there's no way that would be allowed today. There's just no way. Now, I said, now, Mr. Bill, I know you're a building inspector and all from Greenville, South Carolina, a professional in your trade, and I mean no disrespect. However, I sincerely doubt that anything you approve of being built today will still be standing 150 to 250 years from now. And he had to agree with me on that.
Oh, that's cool. Do
Well,
y'all
what-
have activities?
So indoor plumbing or
No, that's not what that is. So actually, Toe String Baptist Church still has revivals here. Now, I'm not talking about any kind of revival. I'm talking about an old-timey Baptist revival. You know the kind, where the floors are bouncing and the walls are shaking. So this fall, every fall, they have a revival here, and then every spring, they also have a revival here. And that right there, because in the old days, you'd put lanterns on the side of the trees. So what they done, they put that post in there for a PVC pipe, and then they have a solar light that goes on to help light the trail as you go down.
Oh, cool.
Yep. But still, yet today, twice a year, the Toe String Baptist Church has revival here.
I was wondering if you had activity here.
And from time to time, you'll have some of the people at the Smokemont campgrounds come up here to check out the church and hold church as well.
Do they have outhouses here, or what do they do for restrooms when they come back?
There is an outhouse on the back side of the church, but we'll just say I ain't sitting on it. Now, right there on our left, that's the mountain laurel, and that's the one that's going to get the long dangly pink blossoms, and they're going to bloom about 3 weeks before the rhododendrons right there above it with the big large bushes. Yep. And the rhododendrons will have a big white flower about the size of your fist. Now, this large tree up here in front of us is a hemlock tree. Beautiful, isn't it? Y'all see this tree right here? It's going sideways. That's our native mountain. That's our native mountain magnolia tree. So you would have had one large magnolia coming up at one time, and those are suckers. Has a beautiful flower on it, about 5-6 inches long, yellow in color, with a beautiful orange pistil in the center. And then you notice this next tree here with the double trunk tree. That's our ironwood tree. Ironwood is used by the farmers for fence posts. It'll last a good 20-25 years in the ground without rotting out. Then also up here, you'll notice on each side of the trail, we have our native dogwood trees. Now, the dogwood flower is a state flower for the state of North Carolina. It's very seldom that you'll find a black bear in a dogwood tree. Any idea why?
It's gonna get with them.
Well, that's a good guess, but here's the reason. They're afraid of its bark. I know I'm corny. Now, this trail is the Smokemont riding stable. It's about a quarter mile down this way, and the horses are right up through here, up around the Smokemont campground. The Smokemont campground is up about a mile. That used to be the Smokemont logging camp, and so before the national park was a national park, the vast majority of the national park was logged out, some 99% approximately. So all the forest here in the national park, for the most part, is secondary growth. But it's came back beautiful, hasn't it?
Can you bring your own horses up here and ride the trail?
Yes, ma'am, you sure can. And there's also campgrounds on the reservation. Campgrounds on the reservation and in the national park where you can bring your horse with you and camp with your horses and ride the trails in the national park.
Can't you do that at Cades Cove?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do it at Cades Cove, but also over in Cataloochee Valley.
We've been to Cataloochee and Cades Cove.
Yes.
With the horses.
Oh,
Oh,
just kidding. No, I mean, they have bears in that campground, Cataloochee, for your horses.
and Cades Cove.
Best place to see a black bear around here, downtown Asheville. And a dumpster.
Anytime you see red tail lights, you know there's something we can get.
Oh, look at it. Oh, ain't she pretty?
Another one right up
We're
the
strolling. We're strolling.
Isn't she beautiful?
They don't get no hurry, they just take
Oh, they're all down through there.
We're moving for one pasture.
Oh, they're following
each other down.
Oh.
You better catch up, girl.
So I've got a mission. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. I have a mission. Okay. You get
Well,
some
there's
water.
one down in the woods.
Did I see him getting some water down there?
Oh, yeah.
If you get too close to them, will they charge you?
They may. You never know.
They'll start sort of blowing at you first.
Yeah.
Blow at you? No, they get
Usually.
water.
As you can see, there's a trail right down there. And they walk that trail twice a day in that elk migration path.
Wow.
Look at their butts, look like archery targets.
Oh, yeah.
As you can see, they have no fear of people and they have no fear of cars. That's a mama and last year's calf. Hello, darling.
Across the road.
Come on, darling.
Don't get no hurry, do they?
She looked like she did.
Hey, you're pretty too. They got a trail over here too on this side.
Yeah. The calf is going to get separated.
Oh, he's gonna run.
He's looking
Now
for
we
mama.
Wait, Mama, wait. I'm leaving you, Mom. I see you. There's a herd up here. Oh yeah, a herd of them up there. About 7, 8 of them over here. And this walk is slow motion though. Yeah. They don't get any hurt.
Oh, yeah. Big thing, big time. You been back here before? Mill is being repaired from some rotted wood and such, but they got an information kiosk up here. Let's check it out.
What's the difference between the grist mill? Corn. So they would mill the corn. So
Yep.
what is it when you do flour?
That's the same thing. So you could, this whole mill actually, they milled both corn here and wheat here as well. This will explain kind of how this old mill works.
Brought their corn in and wheat.
So the Mingus family actually sold this old mill to the national park in the 1930s. So basically what takes place, you see the water down below in the creek. So about a quarter mile back up there behind us, the water enters the flume. Comes down the flume, goes into this penstock right here. That's a hollow box. Fills up with water. There's a pipe that comes underneath. Pipe comes along, turns the turbine, and that turns and operates all the equipment inside the old grist mill. Your millstone, your bolting chest, and your smut machine. This old mill had about 10 horsepower of power on it. This was green energy before green was cool. Beautiful old building though, isn't it, y'all? Now you see the logs that's stacked up on. Those are all locust trees, and the locusts are very similar to the ironwood. They can take that wet environment for years and years and years and not rot out. Matter of fact, you see that big tree right above the building right there? That's a locust tree. So I'm sure that many of these locusts were cut right here in this area to build this flume. Now back in the old days, people didn't really deal with money. They bartered. So the farmers would come and they would bring their corn or their wheat to be milled, and then what the miller would take 1/8 of the production for milling the corn or the wheat as pay. And then he would then sell that into smaller packages and then sell it to the mercantile, to the stores. Another beautiful, beautiful building. Like I said earlier, this used to be the largest grist mill, or still is the largest grist mill in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park.
That's how they made things work back in the
It
day.
is, buddy, it is.
And the engineers now think they know something.
Right. Try cutting it off the ground and building it.
Yeah.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Terry used to bring his corn here to get it milled, didn't you?
I'm not that old.
Back in the old days. Yeah, you just didn't know it, but Terry used to bring his corn here to get milled back when he was a young man.
Yeah.
Back in the late 1880s.
Let me ask you, so that system of doing the mill, I mean the milling like that, was it before or after the grist, the mill, actually the stone where you would grind?
So the stones are on the inside of the building, and so the water going down into the penstock, then it goes to a turbine, and it turns all the equipment inside upstairs and
Oh,
downstairs.
that's what we had, but it was
Yeah.
not like this. So it would come down, we had a race, like an old,
Yeah.
the race would come down.
Well, what was the difference with the water wheel?
The water wheel wasn't as efficient.
Okay.
So this is a more modern mill. By the penstock, the penstock mills were much more efficient with their power and their water usage.
Okay.
And so this was the modern type of the old grist mills here.
Yeah, because you know the old mill.
So they shore up like a creek to make it more efficient coming down
You're
the water.
absolutely right, because otherwise the sides would come
Give
in and would
way.
not, exactly. So those are actually white oak planks right there, and then they swell together kind of like a whiskey barrel would. And then the logs that you see again are all the old locust logs, which are very rot resistant. Looks like they're going to have to do a little maintenance on this old flue though. But beautiful old structure, isn't it?
And I tell you what, for them to know to use those logs, that's amazing.
It is. Yep. Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
My sister said that.
That's all right. It's a good word.
Budding out.
Yeah, well, these buds were set back in the springtime. So, of last year, back in the summer, I should say. So this will be this year's buds on the rhododendron. Like I said, if you're ever burning rhododendron, you definitely don't want to be in the smoke because there's arsenic in the leaves. All right, y'all, so we're leaving the Great Smoky Mountain National Park and entering the Eastern Band Cherokee Nation. Welcome back to the Cherokee Res, y'all. This is downtown Cherokee. Then you have the Native American Craft Shop, also Cherokee owned and operated. Now this big rock building up here on our right, this is the Cherokee Speakers Place. So if you go into that building, you're supposed to only speak the Cherokee language. Now on the other side of the river, on the other side to your left, that's the football field, but also the powwow grounds. Here in Cherokee, every year they have some amazing powwows. Yes, ma'am. Just like St. Patty's Day, everybody's, so it's a celebration of Native American culture. So you'll see a lot of the Native American people doing the powwow dances. You'll have fry bread, all kinds of Indian food to eat, arts and crafts, and awesome time had by all.
When is that? What month?
It's in the spring and also in the fall in October.
Okay, we look it up and find it.
Yes, ma'am. Coming into the cultural district up through here. Here on the right, you'll see the stage. This is one of the areas where they do dancing, where you'll have some of the Cherokee doing powwow type dancing, where you can also get your picture taken with some of the actors. Up here on your right, this yellow building with the blue on it, this is Qual Arts and Crafts. It's a co-op owned by the Cherokee tribe. Great place to buy your Cherokee arts and crafts. Across the road there on the right is is the Museum of the Cherokee People. Tells the story of the Cherokee people from the time of the removal all the way up into modern days. And we just passed the Welcome Center here on our left. Now here on the right is a Cherokee Veterans Park. Y'all may be surprised to learn, but as a percentage of ethnicity, there's more Native American people that serve our U.S. military than any other race of people as a percentage of ethnicity of the population of the United States of America. It's been that way since World War II, and it's still that way today. And we have the beautiful Oconaluftee River here on the left. As I said earlier, check out the street signs and you'll see both the English language and the Cherokee language below. Now that being said, Sequoia, who is half Scottish and half Cherokee, he was always very impressed with the white man's talking leaves, meaning he could write on paper and send it great distances. It took him about 5 years, but he made a symbol for every consonant and every vowel in the Cherokee language. He then went on to teach his daughter how to read and write in the new written Cherokee language. He then went to the elders and said, "I've developed the talking leaves, just like the white man has." Now at first, the elders were somewhat skeptical, thought he may be practicing witchcraft. And if that was the case, Lord have mercy, he had been in some great doodah. So the elders got together. One group of elders with Sequoia, the other group of elders with his daughter. The elders told Sequoia what to write on the note. A runner came and got the note and carried it to his daughter, where she read off the note word for word, just as Sequoia had written it. Ever since that time, the Cherokee have had the talking leaves. Matter of fact, the Cherokee are the only native people in North America with their own written alphabet or their own written syllabary. So we say, ski to Sequoia, thank you for the gift of the talking leaves. All other native people across North America utilize the English alphabet to sound out the words phonetically. There's 86 characters in the Cherokee alphabet.
The Santa Land's what everybody's been telling me. They say it's in Maggie Valley, but it's not really in Maggie Valley.
No, it's in Cherokee. Now up here on the right is the Cherokee Cannabis Dispensary. A Great Smoky Cannabis Dispensary. Used to be the old bingo hall. Like I said, they even got 3 drive-thrus, just like Burger King. The tribe expects that new business to bring in right around $380 million a year to the tribal coffers.
They still play bingo there?
No, ma'am. There's a whole new bingo being played in there today.
That used to be Smoky.
Yes, it did. It still is.
Still smoke.
You ain't smoking in there, but it's a lot of smoke coming out of there. Santa Land up here on the left. Of course, Santa Land's closed down this time of year. Oh, Santa Claus had to take a break from the Christmas. He's down in Florida right now, soaking up the sun. It's an awesome little fun park and zoo.
There's a whole bunch
I don't understand what brings them into town like that.
Well, they're coming down to where there's food at, and also down into the warmer temperatures.
Y'all come on now.
Yeah, we have a resident elk herd of right around 30 animals here in Maggie Valley now.
That's a third of the herd right there.
They're coming to the ice fest.
Horns on that going up there.
You'll see them walking right down the sidewalks, walking across the streets.
They own the place.
They do. This is their home.
Do they eat people's flowers and stuff like
They
that?
love flowers. Matter of fact, there's a couple of local ladies that love their rose bushes, and the elk love them as well.
They get tore up over
They
there.
get tore up over the elk eating their rose bushes. The elk are a true grazer. They're going to eat both grass, they'll eat leaves, they'll eat briars, they'll eat fruit, they'll eat apples, a little bit of everything.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. We've been telling you, Terry and I, that we're going to start showing you some things that you can do here in Maggie Valley.
There
And
you
boy, I tell you what, I've really, you know, it's so much better when you got somebody tell you. Now, I've been to them
that's
places and I didn't have a tour guide. That makes such a big difference to have those stories. And you even sung Amazing Grace in Cherokee language for us. And you just don't get that by yourself when you go somewhere, you know. So tell them a little bit about your business when you're open and all of that.
I appreciate that, John. Thank you. Well, thanks y'all for coming to check us out here in Maggie Valley, Scenic Tours and Adventures. We do UTV wilderness adventures and safari jeep adventures into the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Take you to the beautiful waterfalls, the rivers, up at the tops of the mountains, up above a mile high. Just have a great time here in the Smokies and, of course, here in Maggie Valley. Also, I'd like to invite everybody to come to Maggie Valley and have a great time. The hurricane hit us hard, but we're back and running. We're ready to do business, inviting people to come stay and have an awesome time here in Maggie Valley and Haywood County. Come see us, y'all, and get wild in the Smokies.
Yeah. We had a good time, didn't we, Terry? What'd you think, buddy?
It was wonderful. It was a good tour.
Good tour.
Real good tour.
And we're going to be doing some more things. Terry's got some things he's going to set up for us, and Brian's going to set me up some places, and I'll be back, and we'll be doing some more. And they had a big ice festival today. We didn't realize there's going to be 5,000 people show up, looked like, to it. So that must be an event. I don't know if that'll be over time you get to watch this, but next year that'd be something to come to.
Absolutely.
So guys, go ahead, Terry.
It's a real popular attraction here. It's about the third year, I think, and it's unreal how many people come to see that. Just surprised me how many's here.
Yeah, we
today.
just drove by there and there's cars everywhere, so I was glad to see that. That's a good thing.
Good thing for the county. We need it this year.
Yes, the tourism, like Brian was talking about last year, Helene hit, all the roads are closed, Interstate 40's been closed, which is the main route out of Tennessee here. So this year, make it a point to come to North Carolina, especially Maggie Valley right here, to spend your tourism dollars, because there's not a more beautiful place. There's Appalachian history and culture and the Cherokee history up there. That's amazing. I'm wanting to go back and spend some more time up there.
Anytime, John.
So guys, the information and his link to his website and phone number will be down in the description. And you saw it in the video on the truck. Give them a call, book a tour. I'm going to be here a bunch this year. I might see you here, guys. God bless you all. See you next time.